Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara Edition with host Tim Dennis.
Yes, indeed. You can listen to this show live just right now as you're listening, or you can go to Spotify or iTunes or Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Just look up the Golfi Real Estate Show, and you can hear all the episodes in this series. And, of course, if you want to buy or sell a house, listen up, because Rob Golfi is going to help you with that every week on this program. So let's talk about this past week. Since I spoke to you last, you were in the Big Apple, huh?
I was in the Big Apple. I was doing a commercial with Barbara Corcoran. Very nice lady, super lady. I've known this lady for probably about 8 to 10 years now. I've been working with her, and talk about a real estate mogul, that she's very humble, loves working with teams and realtors, and the limelight hasn't gotten to her in regards to being, she's a big, celebrity on Shark Tank, right? Like, people know who she is. She's been around a long time. And her name is, gotten, outside of the New York City, from being a broker to probably, North America and across the U.S. So we did, we had some fun. I posted some pictures online, working with Barbara, and we did a segment while we're driving around looking at houses. It was pretty cool. They had cameras inside. It's like a little HGTV or American Pickers. You know how they do cameras inside the vehicle.
This will be the new show. Real estate agents in cars with coffee. And,
I think I should start that.
Yeah.
Real estate agents in cars with coffee. Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I got to remember that. Somebody else will take it.
Exactly.
Somebody else will take it. But otherwise, things are great. The market, I'll tell you, in Niagara, it hasn't picked up as much as it has in Hamilton, Burlington, and Toronto. So I don't know if it's just a slowdown, if it's coming this way. I honestly don't know, but we are experiencing a bit of a peak. So, and I just had one of the agents came to my office and said, "Hey, Rob, what do you see the market this year?" I truly see that the spring market, and the spring market, I always define it as early spring market. That it starts in February in most cases, but this year it actually started the last week of January. And it really picked up steam in February. And you're going to see the February numbers are just crazy. I mean, we had the newsletter, the Market Watch, go out. Everybody's got that in their mailbox. Not sure if you've seen that yet, Tim. But we're seeing a more activity on people buying houses. The new buyers coming into the marketplace right now, they qualify for the mortgage, whatever they're going for, the price, house price, and everything. Now, the ones that bought a year ago and they're on variable mortgages, they're feeling the pain because their mortgage payments were a lot lower. Now they purchased high on their purchase price, plus now they got a high mortgage, and their mortgage rates are going to be extremely high. But I truly feel right now, if you're selling, we're going through a little peak period, but so the market did spike up a bit in the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks, and so now, but I don't know how long it's going to last, but it will taper down. So I'm going to say we're going to get a spike, not a big spike. People are still trying to get those numbers from last year. That's not happening, but it is going to level off. Now, is it going to still climb? No, we are going to see the spike now, and then it's going to go back down another, 3-4%, and then flatline for the rest of the year. But the market will be good, but it'll flatline until things get figured out. Even with the U.S., with all this banking situation, and confidence level is going to kind of change in the U.S., especially but in Canada, our banking system's pretty secure. Our banks in Canada are looking at buying their banks in the U.S. because we're pretty solid. But there are a lot of changes that are happening, and so people are going to be kind of more worried now of what's going on. So this little shakedown is going to kind of change the market just a little bit, not that much, but just a little bit.
Tell me a little bit about the Niagara market itself. You talked about it being a little bit behind the Hamilton market at the moment, but are there exceptions? Is St. Catharines the same as Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls the same as Welland? What's happening?
Yeah, so Niagara Falls is really picked up some steam, and now I sent you the numbers for March. Now March is not 100% complete, but the average sale price in March already versus February is up, and from January to February, it's even up. So things are climbing again. So, but Niagara Falls again is the first destination that people are coming from the GTA. St. Catharines, it's kind of moderately, it's hobbling along. It's kind of staying close to the numbers. They're not getting big increases like Niagara Falls is. Welland is kind of, you know what I mean? It's going back to the way it was before COVID, right? Like, it's going to be tougher to sell houses in that area. Just, it's not the first choice for a lot of people. Not saying Welland's bad. People, listen, Welland's a great city. I think its opportunities there's so much opportunity out there for real estate. So look at that. And then Fort Erie. I was looking at Fort Erie. Now, Fort Erie is going up and down in the last 3 months, and not sure what's going on there. I think we're going to see a lot of houses go up for sale maybe towards the end of this year in Fort Erie. They should go now because of the 1% tax that the foreign owners have in Fort Erie. There's a lot of people from Buffalo and surrounding areas in New York State that own cottages in Crystal Beach, and you're going to see them unloading them. So will that flood the market there and kind of cause a little bit of the market to come down because there's more inventory than there should be? So Fort Erie may be I'm curious to see what that's going to turn out to be. I'll be watching Fort Erie very closely. And when I was coming back from New York, in the terminal there was a lady there. She was, I think, from Wilson, New York. So that's just kind of like, I'm not sure, just outside of Buffalo. And she was talking about, how real estate values are, and they owned a cottage in Crystal Beach, and they said, we are not sure what we're going to do. We're going to see how it goes this year, because they've had that cottage probably for 50 years. She goes, we bought it next to nothing. She goes, yeah, like they probably bought it for like $500 back many years ago. It's been in the family, now, and she is a grandchild of the original owners. So, and they still have it in the family. So the parents have it, and they still go there and they enjoy it. The family gets to use it. But so we'll see what the 1% tax is going to do for these, I guess you would say, Western New York people, and see how that goes.
I have a friend who lives in Ridgeway, and years and years and years ago, he kept encouraging me to buy a house in Ridgeway. He knew I was looking. He said, you can get incredible deals here. And this was at a time when St. Catharines, the average price in St. Catharines was a little over $200,000. And he said, you can get a home here. And in St. Catharines, it'd cost you 200 plus. Here, you could probably get it for 80 grand. I didn't do it, but boy, could I have made out like a bandit if I had, huh?
Oh yeah. Like it's Fort Erie has just gone up. And right now, Stevensville is just kind of the outskirts of Chippewa. Chippewa blew up. I remember growing up in Niagara Falls, all the people from Chippewa going to West Lane. Like all the high school students from Chippewa went to West Lane High School. So they would bus it in, and going to Chippewa was kind of like, it was like back those days, it was like, where do you live? Like, it's outside, right? Like, it was a fair distance. I remember I used to go to soccer practice riding my bike to Chippewa, but now it's a place that I would consider looking at living and buying. And there's some commercial property there that I'm considering at buying and see, because I think Chippewa now it's their time. It's their time. And it's growing, and people are moving out that way. It's a great area. You're close to the Parkway. You can ride your bike from Chippewa right to Fort Erie and back. It's a great bike ride.
Oh, it is. It's a great bike ride if you love scenery, and it's not that bad, in terms of time. So
no.
Hey, listen, it wasn't long ago. Speaking of time, wasn't long ago. We were talking in headlines about, putting a house up and it would be gone like that for, a couple of, 100,000 over asking, those kinds of things. I saw a couple of those headlines again this week. Is that kind of thing coming back, or was this just a one-off kind of thing?
It is coming back, and just because the inventory is low and the buyers they're ready, and multiple offers are starting to happen now. A lot of the agents aren't really holding offers as much as they used to, but some of them are. Now, if you price your house right on the nose, right on, like let's say you got a house, the value of this house is worth $800,000, and you price it at $800,000. There is a high chance that you're going to get $800,000 or more, and you'll get more than one offer on it, and it's happened. And so you don't rush and deal with an offer the first day or the first 6 hours it's sitting on the market, because then you got a good product and you priced it right. And so that's happening a lot. Now, it's more so in Toronto. Now, they were saying that there were some houses, one house in the Bridle Path. Now, we know people, if they don't know what the Bridle Path is, those are very high-end, very wealthy homes. They're probably worth in the millions, like 10, 20, 30 million. So one house in the Bridle Path got $701,000 over asking. We are seeing houses going for full price, maybe $5,000 over asking. They're not going there, especially in Niagara. They're not going $100,000 over asking. They are not, because you got to be careful now too, because the banks they're watching very closely. They're not better appraised, because before banks were just saying, okay, let's get these guys a mortgage. Let's just keep going on. This is the way the market is. Banks are watching very closely. So be very careful on what you're bidding on, because if you overbid and if you don't have the money to make the difference of the value, you will be stuck on closing date. But it's more so Toronto, and it's working its way down here from Hamilton towards Niagara. And it's not, and it hasn't, my opinion, I don't think Niagara has really hit the peak like it has in Toronto, Burlington, and Hamilton. I got a feeling it's like a ripple effect. It's coming this way, Tim, and I think we're going to see something increase. Now, I was looking at last year and looking at the different numbers. Niagara got hit with the peak a month after than the Hamilton Burlington market. So it still may come. It still may come. There may be a spike that's going to be really good for Niagara that's coming. So, but yeah, houses are increasing. So they were saying that February there was 54% of the new listings had offer dates, meaning that they said, hey, we're going to take the house is on the market, and in 1 week we're going to take offers. So 54% of the listings that were listed in Vaughan had that. So they're starting to go back into holding offers and trying to compete bidding wars.
What are you telling the people who, I don't know, 2 years ago, Rob, may have, in their own view, overpaid for a house and spent a lot of money because the competition was so fierce that they really overbid and overpaid? And what do you tell them now? That just be patient, the market will catch up to you?
Yeah, you know what? If you bought something in 2021 or 2022 at the first quarter of 2022, and you paid big dollars for the house, just hang in there. It's going to come back. And I honestly feel within 5 years you will be ahead of the game. So, and you got to understand, real estate, is like any other thing that you buy. You take it's a risk, but the risk is not as much as other investments like the stock market or anything else. So if you bought in the first quarter of 2022, you hang on, within 5 years, that your house that you purchased will be worth more than what you paid for it. And so I don't think you have to worry about it. But now if you have to move before then, yes, it's going to cost you money. And we know there's people right now calling us and say, listen, I got to get out of this house. And I go, well, you're going to lose $200,000, $300,000. And so some of them are okay with it. They've got the money. A lot of them aren't. And we just say, you're going to have to stay here. And that's just the reality of what we're in right now.
It's Rob Golfi with the REMAX Golfi Team on the Golfi Real Estate Show. My name's Tim Dennis. That other voice you will hear is that of, Rob Golfi. You see him everywhere. You hear him everywhere. And one of the things that happens when you see him everywhere is that Golfi pose. And I know you've had requests. People want to come and take a picture of you standing outside their house with your arms outstretched. And we know that it wasn't long ago that another real estate agent somewhere in the U.S. of A. sued you saying, Rob Golfi stole my idea. Now, where are we with this case, Rob?
So my lawyer in the U.S. Filed a motion to dismiss the case. And so what they did is they did dismiss the case. So the court dismissed the case, but without prejudice because the plaintiffs need to, I guess, better plead their complaint. Now, Lindell's attorneys will, of course, refile. And our understanding is they will refile and appeal the case. So basically,
now, Lindell is the real estate agent in the States who sued you.
That's right, because I'm using my arms wide open. So, like it is crazy. He doesn't have any evidence of anything that I signed, and he didn't have it there at the court when he showed up. So
now, just to take people back in time a little bit. What did he claim that you had signed and had agreed to?
So there was an online kind of seminar thing that we signed up for. Now, I paid for it, but there was nothing that I saw that indicated that I signed anything saying that we couldn't use or not use. Now, we always sign forms, that we're attending a seminar, but I mean, using my arms wide open, I don't think there was anything like that. And it's like everybody's headshot, right? Like, can I trademark a headshot for realtors, right? Like everybody has the same headshot, and they pose it. One's holding a phone in their ear. The other one, is, sitting on a chair, one's, there's so many different, one wears a hat, fedora hat. There's all different poses people use, right? So I decided, hey, I'm going to try using my arms wide open also. And not thinking that, it's going to be an issue. I'm in a different country. So, it's not like I'm in the next state or the next city from where he's operating. Yep. So then he obviously didn't like it. And I think it's geared towards somebody else that's kind of pushing him to do this that lives in Canada. And so anyway, he filed a lawsuit against me. So the one thing is he registered the trademark 3 weeks prior to filing a lawsuit against me. So basically he said, hey, you want to file a lawsuit against Rob Golfi, you got to trademark this first. So let's put the application in. Once they put the application in, then they filed a lawsuit. So I was using it for over a year before.
I was just going to say, but you were using that long before he.
I was using it before. So will he get? I mean, he didn't get anything on this one. So I won the first round. So we'll see if round two, what happens on round two. And to me, I think this is just a waste of the court's time. And I'm not, I don't know if he still wants to continue wasting money on legal fees on his end. But you know what? I have to defend myself, and and thank God I've got insurance that I bought that protects me from stuff like this, so that my insurance company, once I get my final bill with the lawyers in the U.S., I'll send it to them, and then hopefully they cut me a check. So everything's all. So yeah. I mean, hey, what are you going to do? You can sue anybody you want in this world if you got the time and you got the money. If you want to spend that negative energy on doing that, I wouldn't. There's other guys doing their arms wide open in Toronto, in different parts of the U.S. and Canada, and I'm the one that got picked. Because
you were the most recognizable. That's why.
Well, we hit the number one REMAX team in Canada, and we also hit number 2 REMAX team in the world. And so when you're on the platform, so you're amongst other big teams in the U.S. So. What are you going to do? You just got to go through it and live through it, and just deal with it and just keep going on. I don't think about it. The lawyers, I know how to block it out, and they send me emails saying, okay, here's what we're doing. Oh, okay, great. I almost forgot about it. And then when they send me an email, it comes back to life.
It reminds me, it's funny because whenever I see this story, it reminds me of my own business in the radio business. Anybody who knows, radio knows that in a lot of cases there are, two-person teams in a morning that do a morning show and blah, blah, blah. And almost every one of them does a promotional picture of the two of them back to back with their arms folded.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly the same pose for every flippin' radio show in North America. It's always the two of them standing back to back, looking over their shoulders with their arms folded. And I'm thinking, boy, I'm going to start suing people for that because I'm going to claim I came up with that idea.
Do it. I'm telling you. You'll get some good publicity out of it. That's for sure. Whether it's bad or good, you'll get publicity.
Yep. All right, let's you want to build a home in an established neighborhood. You love the neighborhood for whatever reason. It's close to whatever you want. What about the idea of just, buying up a place, tearing it down, and moving into something brand new? What is the tear down option?
The tear down option, so a couple of things that happen. So the tear down option is they tear down and build because they're building on bigger lots. Now, lots right now, so if you want to buy a new house, a large new house, chances are the lot is going to be less than 50 feet wide. So, for instance, Niagara-on-the-Lake right now, there is a lot of tear downs going on in Old Town Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we've got one up for sale right now on Gate Street, which is like a beautiful lot. You can build a big house on it. Now, the neighbors do not like this, especially when the neighborhood starts going through this because of all the mess with the construction and the tear down of the house and all that kind of stuff. It does save money on lot, I guess what they call them, lot levies or lot, you don't have to put sewers in because they're already to the lot line. So you save those fees on doing that. But the one thing is, it could be a renovation permit that's even cheaper if you keep the foundation the same, which a lot of people rip it out and build brand new, which is the best way to do it. You don't want a 60 to 100-year-old foundation on a brand new house. So a lot of builders, they buy these old houses and tear it down, and also consumers do it. So they get a custom home builder, and they'll build them a beautiful house on there. It's becoming more and more popular because there isn't any land available in the city that you can build a big house. And back in the old days, the lots were a minimum, 60 to 100 feet wide by 100 to 150 feet deep. So those are nice size lots. And I live on a lot that's 100 wide by 150 feet deep. So which is I've got a nice big lot in a residential neighborhood, which is an older neighborhood, and I love it. Some people have on my neighborhood down the street have torn down a house, and then they're going to build something new and big. Now, the problem with this is the first couple of houses, when they tear down and they build these big monster homes on these lots, it kind of throws the neighborhood off. You got this bungalow that's, a small 1,500 square foot or 1,200 square foot bungalow beside this 4,000 square foot big giant mansion. It just doesn't, blend. And so as time goes on, the next guy comes and the next guy, and then all of a sudden you're kind of squeezed out because you don't want to be in the middle of all these skyscrapers around you. So, excuse me. But so that's what's happening, but the cost to do that in a lot of cases, if you're buying it yourself, you sometimes will pay a premium for the lot. So you're overpaying what you would for the house because there's a house on it with a lot, and you're tearing it down, and so you're probably paying a premium for it. Like, it's not like you going out and buying a lot that's an empty neighborhood and building. It's a little cheaper that way. But the consumer doesn't care if they're buying a house, tearing it down, and building their custom home in a beautiful neighborhood.
I want to move ahead to the story about mortgages. Every week there's a story about mortgages, interest rates going up, and whether it's best to go with a broker, go with the bank, whatever the case may be. But a lot of people, in finding it difficult to find a mortgage, may be looking at private non-bank mortgages. And more and more people are doing that. And you know what happens when more and more people look at doing that? The government goes, hang on here a second. Maybe we should get our hand in this. What's going on with all the people who are, looking at getting non-bank mortgages, Rob?
So what's happening is people are getting second and third mortgages on their houses, and they're usually from private lenders. Now, the interest rates are high, and usually there's a lending fee. So let's say you're borrowing $100,000, and the lending fee is 2%. So you're going to pay a $2,000 lending fee, plus you're going to pay, depending on a second mortgage, you're paying 12 to 15% interest on a second mortgage. On a first mortgage, you'll pay probably 8-9%, maybe more now just because interest rates are climbing. So, and if you're using a private lender, there's a high probability that the conventional banks said no to you. You probably wanted to refinance. They said, nope, I think you're at your limit. We're not going to give you any more money. So a private lender, he's going to come in and he'll look at the house. He'll drive by and look at the comparables in the neighborhood and says, you know what, I'm willing to take the risk. So he's going to lend money on this. The homeowner still has a little bit of equity, and they make only interest payments only on a monthly basis. And so they make the interest payments. You're not paying down that mortgage. You're not paying it down. And so the cost of carrying that house is more, but there's a reason why the bank said no to you the first time. Now you need money for some reason. Maybe your credit cards are out of control, or maybe you owe somebody money or whatever. But more and more people are using private lending, which I think is good to use on a short-term basis, but I would not use it as a 5-year term on your property. Commercial companies or commercial investors use it all the time because it's short-term. They need to get the money. They need to sometimes buy a property, renovate it, then they get the conventional mortgage on it and get rid of the private lender, and then they go on to the next one and do the same thing. So you've got to be very, very careful. And to me, I think if the consumer is using private lending on their house, they're probably in a little bit of trouble. And we just had one, recently. Well, a family, they had a first mortgage, conventional, second mortgage, and a third mortgage. And one of the agents on my team said, Rob, this house, with all the mortgages, and who knows what the penalties are going to be after they pay, and who knows if they paid their taxes on the house. And I said, stay away, because if we end up selling this place and there's not enough to pay the other agent that brought the offer in, we're in trouble now. Now we owe money. So, excuse me. So then we declined on taking that on. Now I said to the agent, call the second and third mortgage holder if they're willing to work with us, because obviously they're in trouble. They need to get rid of this house. And if they're not, then they'll figure another way to get this house sold. But they're going to take a loss. The second and third mortgage holder on this property will take a loss. They took the risk. The risk is not going to pay off for the private lender on this one particular property. So they're gonna lose money on this particular property for sure.
So your suggestion would be, if this is the last ditch hope for you, that a private mortgage at a really high interest rate, maybe you better wait, period. Maybe don't take the chance, because God knows where you're going to be in a year or two, and your ability to pay that thing off just disappears.
Absolutely. You got to be careful. Just, sell the property before you put the second and third mortgage on there, and then start fresh. And I know it's hard to start fresh in this economy, especially with the housing prices the way they are. I know you're in the game, but you don't want to get deeper and then all of a sudden lose the house, and then now you owe everybody money, and it's not good.
It's the Golfi Real Estate Show, and every week, Rob Golfi of REMAX Escarpment, the Golfi team, has a look at the industry, has a look at the market, has a look at some questions that you may have, has a look at some answers that he probably has. And by the way, if people have questions that they want to ask you, either to get back to them an email or if they want to hear this on the show, How do they ask you a question, Rob?
Yeah, they can go to questions at golfiteam.com, or even give us a call. Like, don't be afraid, or email us. Just go to our website. It's easy to get a hold of us, and we'll try to answer any questions that you may have in regards to real estate. We appreciate you sending us an email and having everybody learn from different situations.
I did a thing on my morning show the other day where I was talking to people about, what their dreams were, buying a home, where they'd like to live in Ontario. And I got a call from a couple of people, younger people, who said, I really wanted to buy a house here, but I can't afford it. But I can't afford it somewhere else. I can't afford it on the East Coast, or I can't afford it on the prairies, or those kind of things. Are you hearing that from people, Rob?
Yeah, there's more people leaving than coming in, and what they're saying is, in any given year, about 80,000 people across Canada move to Ontario, and another 80 leave. In the last 12 months, they've attracted the same amount of people, but we've actually lost an extra 50,000. So they're bringing 80,000 in, but 130,000 are leaving. This is the GTA or Ontario. And so they're trying to figure out how can they slow this down. And it's not going to slow down. Like I was online looking at social media, and they were putting clips on from 1989. And it's the same story in 1989 is housing was expensive. Young professionals can't afford it. They have to move away, and all that kind of, like, it's like a total repeat from 1989. We're seeing that now, or we saw that, in the last couple of years. And so I don't know, like, but now, back then you had to work at your place of employment, right? So you had to be there in person. Now, back then there wasn't, I think Google and internet was just coming out. It wasn't full blown. It wasn't like that. But now everybody can work anywhere in the world and run their business. And it's funny, like, you got people living, let's say, in Niagara Falls, buying a nice affordable house, but they work for a company in Toronto making the Toronto salary wages, which is fantastic. But that's what's going to drive the prices of homes up in different rural areas or in small towns. Like, you're going to see more and more people leaving the GTA, going to Calgary, going to the East Coast, and they're going to drive the prices up there. And they're going to have the same problem in 2 to 5 years from now. Now, we've got a problem here in Ontario that right now a lot of builders are not building because nobody's buying. They're just sitting and waiting. And I talked to one builder, not a builder, but guys that make foundations in Niagara, and he says this is our first foundation that we've had in 6 weeks that we poured. And I'm like, whoa! Like, so he goes, because people are like, they're hanging on. People want a house within 60 to 90 days. They want a house. Now, people are afraid to buy a house from a builder because they don't want to find out it's going to be built in a year, and then all of a sudden the interest rates are different in a year from now. They want to know now. They want to secure now, not a year from now. They don't want to buy now and then find out a year later that that home prices or the interest rates are going to be different, or the builder says, hey, we have to charge you more just because of construction cost us more money. So people want what they can touch and feel now. And so we're getting the resales are going to do probably a lot better in the coming year or couple years, but builders that have the money, they're building on spec, they're the ones that are going to do well. So now the richer you are as a builder, the better you're going to do in this in selling houses. And
so are the governments of Alberta, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, are they doing things differently in order to attract people? What are they doing that their homes are that much cheaper, or is it just the nature of the market?
It's just the nature of the market. They've got advertisements all over the place saying, hey, come to Calgary. You can buy a house here for, like 30-40% of what your house is in Toronto or in Ontario is, and it is true. I mean, Calgary goes in a lot of spurts with recessions out there because if oil prices are up or down, the market is it's so volatile in Calgary. I don't know if that's a place, but we've had a lot of nurses leave Ontario going to Alberta. A lot of nurses and. Calgary is a beautiful place in Canada. I wouldn't go to Edmonton or Winnipeg. I don't know. Like winters are there 10 months out of the year. Like so I don't know if I could handle that. Like I mean I could hardly handle it in Ontario. And we had a pretty good winter without that much snow this year. But yeah, like it's just people just and what's driving the people to these places are the young kids. Now these young kids, if they have kids themselves, like the millennials, if they have, they're starting their own family, well, guess what? The parents are going to say, you know what? We're going to go move out that way too because you guys are out there because we want to see our grandchildren grow up. So now you're seeing more people leaving Ontario because of that. And it's just, it's just a total mix up in Canada. Like the people are just shifting all over the place. That usually that doesn't happen. Usually you see that in the U.S. In the U.S., it's very rarely that you see a family. They have two kids. They grow up. They never live in the same town as their parents that are living in. They always end up getting jobs all across America. But over here, I think in Southern Ontario, usually they're within an hour drive if they stay within the same province. But now it's everybody's just relocating everywhere.
Are there places in Ontario that are more affordable for the kid? For the people who don't want to leave Ontario altogether, they want to stay in Ontario. But are there places that are really affordable right now? I mean, that used to be the attraction, say in Niagara or parts of Hamilton, Halton, for people in the GTA. It was much cheaper in Niagara. Is that still the case, or are there places a little further afield that they're going now?
You got to go further north. It's you can go London, Windsor, but that they're starting to pick up steam in their pricing. So not that long ago in Windsor, you could have bought a house for $100,000, and I'm talking like probably 5-6 years ago. Now they picked up a lot of steam, and so a lot of the GTA investors, they went out there and started buying up in Windsor and in London because it was affordable, and you can buy a duplex or a fourplex and so cheap, and the rental income was no problem getting to cover and make money on that. But now it's becoming more and more difficult to get that, even in Windsor. But even though for a Toronto person going out there, it is cheaper. So it's just like when a person from GTA comes this way, and sometimes they overpay in our market because they're using their GTA agent. So they come in, they go, hey, wow, this is a great price. Let's buy it. And meanwhile, it's an overpriced house in the neighborhood, but because it was cheaper than what they had in Toronto, it was a good deal for them. But then after they move in, the neighbors, come, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. We're so happy that you paid so much for this house. It makes our house worth more, right? And they're like, well, what did we do? So that's why I always say, use a local agent, use an agent locally that lives and works there. And we have agents right from the Niagara that live there and right through the even to Burlington and Brantford and everything. You got to use somebody that lives and works there as an agent, whether you're buying or selling. Always do that.
Since we last talked, there was a big story out of the city of Welland where there was a condo development it was in the middle of construction where part of it came down. And it made a lot of news and got a lot of people talking again about an issue which you and I have talked about in the past, about people who buy condos before they're built or in the middle of their construction and then try and sell them or, sublet them or what have you. And I understand you've been getting calls from people.
Yes. So I got a call from a guy. He bought 3 condos and in this new high rise, and it's opening up. I think it starts in April or May, where the first bunch of people are able to move in. And so he's got 3, and he called me up, and I said, yeah, I mean, selling condos on assignment now are more difficult than they were a year ago and 2-3 years ago, because because it's just because the interest rates and the price of the condo and everything. So, and who knows what they want for it, right? They always want to make money, but a lot of these people do not qualify for a mortgage when they take possession. The banks are going to say, well, do you have a renter for this thing? What's the rent going to be like? I mean, they are scrutinizing these investors, and these investors, they're scrambling. They're scrambling like crazy, trying to find a buyer for this condo. And even if they break even now, they will, because the interest rate when they were buying these were very low. They were manageable. But now at 4.5-5% interest rate on these condos, they're not going to be able to manage them. I'm not a big fan of buying condos and buying them now and then you take possession in 4 years. Yeah, it worked for the last probably 15, 20 years. To me, I think it's a high risk when you put something down and banking on it in 4 years. Now, a lot of people made money that way. Me, I prefer to have and see what I'm buying now. I take possession within 60 to 90 days, and I'm on my way. Whether it's high or low, I know I have it. I don't want to find out that I put $50,000 down on a condo, and then 4 years later, the market's crashed or whatever. So, and that's basically, people are taking a risk doing that, in my opinion. And and there's going to be a lot of those coming up. There's a lot of these condos. Now, my understanding is, I heard this from a guy that buys a lot of land. The banks are holding off on lending money to these developers right now to build condos. They're saying, whoa, because what's happening is a lot of these people that purchase condos are not closing. So now the developer is going to end up getting a bunch of units that didn't sell. Now they have to resell them. So they're back to square one and reselling units that these buyers couldn't close on. So, you know what I mean? So now the banks are saying, hey, get what you have now in order, get them sold, and let's figure out the next step. So the banks are getting worried, and they're holding off on having developers. And we're talking big developers that have money, that are prominent in the community, that have a good reputation. They're saying, okay, just slow down. Let's just see how things go in the next couple years, because of all the banking situation that's going on in the world, all that kind of stuff. So things are changing. Things are changing in this world. Now, if they slow down building condos and houses, and we got 1.5 million people moving into Canada or Ontario or whatever in the next 3 years, we're going to have a shortage of homes coming up soon. So we gotta, it's gonna catch up to us. So we gotta be careful.
Did you ever think years ago when you first got into the business that so much of what you deal with would be condos? Because when you got into the business, there weren't as many condo buildings around by any stretch of the imagination, particularly in Niagara.
Oh, absolutely. There wasn't any. I mean, they were there, but like they would be like senior buildings, and but the way they're building now millennials are buying them, seniors are buying them, like everybody is buying them. They're just trying to create high density in the inner cities and trying to keep instead of using up land. But yeah, like I never expected that. Even townhouses, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they started building townhouses, there wasn't as many townhouses. Now they're building townhouses everywhere.
Is that because we're getting older, or because just the market is just changing?
The market's changed. This new set of generation coming in, it's just different, totally different.
All right, we'll be reconvening again next week, same time, same place. You can listen to the show any place you get your podcasts. Just look it up on iTunes or Google Podcast or whatnot, and just search for the Golfi Real Estate Show, and you can listen to all the other episodes of this. And Rob, once again, if people have questions, how do they get a hold of you?
Just give us a call. They can call us at 905-641-0308, or go to robgolfi.com, and they'll be able to find us anywhere you want. Just give us a call. No pressure, no high pressure system. Never go by that. And we can sit down with you and discuss everything privately. And
excellent. Listen, we got to get packing, so to speak, and I'll talk to you next